All right, we have some new information on the NBA's plan to stop tanking. Plan to end tanking. As you all know, the NBA this season is in the worst situation they've been in a long time. There's more teams tanking than ever before. Basically, if you don't feel like you stand a chance in the play-in tournament, you're just losing on purpose to try to get higher lottery odds. There's 10 teams in the NBA right now that are losing on purpose, and it's bad. On a nightly basis, it's hard to get 2 or 3 good matchups. Every other matchup is bad because half the league is trying to lose on purpose, and the NBA needs to fix it. In my personal opinion, look, we're going to get into, there's 3 comprehensive anti-tanking concepts that the NBA, his board of governors have presented. Okay, and we're going to go through all 3 of them and try to make sense of them, all right? But I just want to let you know my proposal to get rid of tanking. My proposal to get rid of tanking in the NBA is to get rid of the damn lottery. Get rid of the damn lottery. It doesn't make any sense. You have incentivized teams to lose. You got to go back to the worst team in the league gets the number 1 pick. The second worst team gets the number 2 pick. The third worst team gets the number 3 pick. And on and on. So that you're always going to have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 bad teams. But when you make it so that the 10th team in the draft has a 4% chance at a top 4, right? Hear me out. But then the 9th team in the draft, and I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, I'm just saying this as an example. If the 10th team in the draft has a 3% chance at a top 4 pick, and the 9th team in the draft has a 7% chance at a top 4 pick, the 10th worst team is trying to lose to get up to 9, to increase their odds of jumping into the top 4. You've incentivized everybody in the lottery to try to lose more games. And then you made the play-in tournament, so now it's essentially either you're trying to make the playoffs, either you're trying to win the whole thing, or you're trying to get to the top of the draft. There's no middle. You've gotten rid of mediocrity, which I don't know if mediocrity is great for the league, but there has to be mediocre teams. There has to be mid-level teams. You've gotten rid of mid-level teams. It's either you feel like you have a chance in the playoffs, or you're trying to lose the most games to try to get to the top of the draft. That's what you created with the NBA lottery. You have to get rid of the NBA lottery. Anyway, let's look at the proposal and try to make sense of it, because I read it. Shout out my guy, Nick Marchetti on Twitter. I glossed over it, and it looked confusing as shit, so let's see if we can make sense of it, okay? The NBA presented 3 comprehensive anti-tanking concepts to its Board of Governors on Wednesday, with modifications expected to each before a formal vote in May, per ESPN sources. Comprehensive anti-tanking concepts. This is my problem. I think that everybody's overcomplicating the hell out of it because it's just not that complicated. But this is what happens when you have a lot of very smart people in an office. They're going to overcomplicate the shit out of everything. Number 1, 18 teams in a draft lottery. Bro, I don't know if I'm going to make it through this. I think the problem is the draft lottery, and one of their plans is to extend the draft lottery. The draft lottery is the problem. Let me know in the comments if you agree with that or disagree with that. Or do you think the draft lottery is the problem, or do you think I'm wrong about that? And if you think I'm wrong about that, what do you think the real problem is? Let me know in the comments. All right, let's try to get through it. I think this is going to piss me off, but let's try to get through it. Number 1, 18 teams in a draft lottery. Seeds 7 through 15 in each conference. Flattened odds, with the bottom 10 teams having an 8% chance. The remaining 20% odds distributed in decreasing order for 11 through 18, and a lottery drawing for all 18 picks. What the hell did I just read? 18 teams in the draft lottery. Right now there's 14. We're increasing the draft lottery. We're flattening the odds. We're flattening the odds with bottom 10 teams having an 8% chance. We're flattening the odds? So there's then no incentive to try to be the worst team. Okay. I mean, I guess that works for teams trying to get to the top. I guess that works better than what's working now, whereas right now, if you lose, your chances of getting the top pick are better. If you flatten all of the odds for the bottom 10 teams, then yeah, there's no incentive to lose. There could then be incentive for the 11th team to lose to try to get into the top 10. So you're just pushing the tanking back to teams trying to get into the top 10 instead of teams trying to get. I guess this could work. The remaining top 10 teams bottom 10 teams have an 8% chance. Sorry if this video is an hour long. This is a lot to get through. Bottom 10 teams have an 8% chance. The remaining 20% distributed in decreasing order. Decreasing order for 11 through 18 and a lottery drawing for all 18 picks. Bottom 10 teams have equal odds at number 1. The remaining 20% distributed in decreasing order from 11 through 18 and a lottery drawing for all 18. I mean, that puts every team that didn't make the playoff, that puts even teams in the play-in tournament in the lottery. But the problem is, the whole problem with this is, see, here's the battle. You need the worst teams in the league to have the highest picks, or else they're just going to be bad forever. This is what you're seeing with the Washington Wizards. They should have had the number 1 pick like 5 years in a row. They can't get it. But then that's also, incentivizing teams to build good teams. Hey, you can't build a good team. It's not our fault. But then if there's bad teams that just can never get top talent, small markets, they don't get big free agents, things like that, and then they consistently lose out on the top 5 or 10 draft picks, they're never getting top talent. They're just bad forever. I don't know. Let's move on. Number 2, 22 teams in the lottery using 2-year record. 22 teams in the lottery using 2-year record, seeds 7 to 15, plus the 4 playoff first-round exits in both conferences. 22 teams in the lottery using 2-year record. So you got to be bad for 2 years in a row. If you make the playoffs and your first-round exit, you're in the lottery. That sounds like it's incentivizing teams to lose in the playoffs. Teams that know they don't have a chance in the second round or the conference finals. Lottery teams would reach a minimum win total floor in each season, such as 25 wins. If a team falls short of the floor, it gets slotted to meet the floor. What does that mean? If a team falls short of the floor, it gets slotted to meet the floor. Top 4 drawn as part of lottery, as is currently. What the 22 teams in a lottery. Lottery teams would reach a minimum total floor in each season, such as 25 wins. If the team falls short of the floor, it gets slotted to meet the floor. Top 4 drawn as part of lottery, as is currently. So the worst 4 teams are in the lottery as they are right now. The rest of the teams have to win at least 25 games. But if they don't win at least 25 games, they get slotted to meet the floor. I don't know what that means. You can let me know in the comments what that means. Number 3, 18 teams in a 5x5 lottery. Bottom 5 teams have equal odds for the top pick, with lottery formed from picks 1 through 5. 18 teams in a 5x5 lottery. Bottom 5 teams have equal odds for the top pick, with lottery formed from picks 1 to 5. Bottom 5 teams have a floor at 10. Those that fall out of the top 5 get sorted in a separate drawing. No, that doesn't change anything. Well, let's do 3 different drawings. So the 5 worst teams have equal odds for the top pick. And then in a second tier, we do a separate drawing. How is that any different? Because if your team's in the second tier, Now you need to lose more games on purpose to get into the first tier to try to get the top pick. That makes sense as so that, like, what happened with Cooper Flagg can't happen. The 11th worst team in the league can't get the number 1 pick, so you're eliminating that. But you're not eliminating teams being incentivized to lose on purpose. Because if you're in the second tier, you want to be in the first tier. If you're in the third tier, you want to be in the second tier. It's kind of the same. Whereas the more games you lose, the higher incentive you have, the higher odds you have to get to the top of the draft. So that doesn't stop tanking at all. That just makes it so if you're in the third tier, you can't get the number 1 pick. I don't like any of these at all. And I want to say one more thing before I get out. I don't like any of these. I think they're all a disaster. I don't think Adam Silver knows how to fix tanking. And I want to say this to people that say things like this. The one thing people say a lot is they should have a playoff, right? They should have a playoff where the worst teams have a mini tournament and then you're playing to try to get the top pick. That doesn't make any sense. Because the players on the team don't give a fuck about the top pick. The players on the team are not the ones losing on purpose. They're just not good. The management staff is putting those players on the floor because they know they're not good enough to win. And they're probably going to lose. You put a G League team out there, you know they're not good enough to win. You put all your good players out with season-ending injuries, Utah Jazz. You know they're not good enough to win. How are you going to get those players to try to win a tournament? Hey, guys, now we need the number 1 pick in the draft, so we need you to try to win this tournament. The players don't care. Remember when LeBron James was about to be drafted, the way Carlos Boozer and the players on the Cleveland Cavaliers were talking about LeBron? They didn't care if they got the number 1 pick. They didn't want LeBron to come there. It steals their spotlight. They were like, we're building something good here. You know, LeBron, he's going to come in and join what we've already built here. Like, players have egos. They don't want the number 1 pick on their team. No, it's not like players sit back and are like, yeah, I'm trash, actually. We got to get to the top of the draft so we can get better players so that I don't have a job anymore. You got to think about it realistically. The players on the team don't want the number 1 pick in the draft. So why would they go try to win a tournament? Anyway, thank you for going through this with me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I think all of these options are overcomplicated and terrible. The only way to stop tanking is to get rid of the lottery, make the worst teams in the league have the top pick. And also, there's incentives right now, you know, for losing where the taxes, the luxury tax gets split up between all the worst teams in the league. So teams, and I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but some of the teams that are the worst in the league are getting payouts for being the worst in the league. You got to get rid of that idea. That's a terrible idea because now owners are like, let's just lose so I can get my $200 million or whatever it is from the luxury tax split out. There's that. At the end of the day, it's the same thing as guaranteed contracts. How do we stop load management? How do we stop players from sitting out with a sore pinky toe? You know, actually, a sore pinky toe sucks, and you should sit out with a sore pinky toe. But you know the point I'm making. A sore pinky on your non-shooting hand, and you sit out for a month. Cough, cough, Paul George. How do we get players to stop doing that? You have to play to get paid. The only way to get players to care about playing is for their money to be dependent on it. You have to do something like that with the teams. If you don't win a certain amount of games, you don't make as much money. You get docked this much money, or there's a bonus for teams that win a certain amount of games. And if you don't win that many games, you miss out on a $100 million bonus or whatever it is. Something like that. But you got to get rid of the lottery. The lottery is the problem. And I don't think any of these proposals fix that, but we'll see. Thank you for tuning in to Run It Back NBA. I love you. I'll see you in the next one.